incredible result that is, Richie, for Hungary. When you look at that, you see them getting on the board. It means that this table, this group, is still wide open.
It is. It's the surprise, the shock result of the tournament so far. I didn't see this coming at all. Even at half-time at 1-0, absolutely did not see this coming. We expected more from France. But I think they start by giving a load of credit to Hungary. They set up with this intention in mind. They defended in numbers, resolute right to the end. I think it shows the difference and the benefit of having 60,000 people in your home pitch. Absolutely was a factor in this as well. And I think the heat took its toll on everyone towards the end of that second half. But France didn't do enough to dislodge the Hungarians out of position, to create too many openings. They did create chances, which you would absolutely expect a French team of those players to be able to do. But big result now in the context of this group.
It certainly is. We'll talk about France a little bit later on, Didi, but just for the Hungarians, the support that they've had, the way that they celebrated it, it was like they'd won the World Cup there afterwards. You could see Gulashi, their goalkeeper, on his knees. Like, the performances they've put in so far there in front of their home fans have been incredibly impressive.
Yeah, and rightly so. They deserve every bit of praise and adulation of the crowd here. Look, there's 65,000. I think this is what we all missed the last 12 or 18 months. Brilliant scenes, and yeah, the crowd really pushed them on up until the end. They got very tired, but they looked pretty comfortable, I've got to say, in the second half. You know, the first 20 minutes, France lost their way a little bit, and then when you least expected it, they conceded a goal. But after that, I think it was a case of France being reasonably happy with the draw, because they know 4 points will be enough. They've got another game to go, and I think the main thing for Hungary now is they still got it in their own hands. So if they win the last game against Germany, they go to 4 points, and 4 points will most probably be enough to qualify. It's a shame they can't play or don't play the game in Budapest. It would be great to see Germany go in there in front of the crowd. They've got to go to Munich now. But the way they played in the first 2 games, you know, would you be surprised if they beat Germany in their backyard?
I love that you're saying this as a German who have their own job to do later on.
Do you genuinely think France would be happy with that draw?
I think towards the end, I don't think they showed too much of an urgency to get the ball back. I think they were just, you know, it was very hard. The lad said it in commentary. It was hot for both teams, and it would have taken a lot out of them as well. And I think they wanted to make sure they don't concede the second one. If they get a winner, great. But if not, I think they were happy to take the draw. Obviously, it's not what they expected or what they wanted before the game. But I think the way the game went, I think they were reasonably happy the last 10-15 minutes, because it didn't show the same urgency as it did at the start of the game. And, you know, Hungary passed the ball at the back for, you know, 30-40 seconds. It didn't really make an attempt to close him down or make him kick it long. And I think they were quite happy with the draw in the end.
All right. Richie, we reflected on this before the game. This is one of the lovely things to see in tournament football, with the host cities having teams playing like this. 65,000 fans. It's an amazing atmosphere.
That's a proper atmosphere, isn't it? I mean, the 60,000, it's a huge crowd, but you can hear the noise. We saw pictures of them throughout the game. Entire areas behind the goal, just a whole lot of them jumping at the same pace. They've created so much noise. I'd imagine it was quite hostile at times for the French players, but real scenes of celebration and togetherness and unity between the players and the supporters. Lovely
moment there, Fiola, with his son and his family as well. That's not a day he's going to forget for a long time, Didi.
Yeah, brilliant. And not only the goal he scored, his defensive duties as well, the way he defended, always helping his teammates, helping the centre-backs. It was just an all-round performance, you know, the way they were there for each other, committed, united, always tried to double up when Dembele on the other side, Mbappe had the ball. There was always a second player there to help his teammate, and it was brilliant to see. And the bond they had with the fans, they had within the team as well. And I think you know, it's not normal that they get clapped off after a 3-0 defeat, like after the first game. But I think the whole nation can grasp and feels what a united team this is. And the way they never dropped off, you know, we thought at half-time maybe the energy levels drop off a little bit, because they had to work so hard in the first half. First 20 minutes, up until the equaliser, it was all Hungary. You know, I don't think there was a chance. And when you least expected it, unfortunately for them, they conceded the goal.
Well, you know why the home fans are loving it, Richie, is because they weren't expecting this. They were in this group of death. There was no way they thought they were going to get days like this.
I don't think any of us were expecting this, to be totally honest. But I think the injustice of their 3-0 defeat, that 3-0 scoreline from the first game was slightly corrected today. I remember the first half footage. I remember about halfway through the first half, about the half-hour mark, we were just sitting there going, God, it's backs to the wall stuff. They just can't get out. They can't keep the ball. They've no outlet. They've no target man to get hold of it. They can't control the tempo. They're just mercy of wave after wave by numerous different sources. And fast forward then to the end. They've gotten a draw, which I think was a relatively fair result. I mean, we'll show footage. France created more. They looked more dangerous over the 90 minutes. But given what they have compared to what Hungary have, that's not much of a statement. I don't think that's much they should be shouting about. But overall, I think Hungary were far more to being at the very best they can be than that French team.
All right, well, we're going to pick over that French performance, but let's start off with their goal, Didi. They did get the equaliser from Griezmann.
They have all the possession, all the top-class players they've got. They scored off a long punt downfield. Mbappe does ever so well there. Out jumps Nego. Little shimmy, crosses the ball. Orban can't really get a good clearance, a foot on, and Griezmann stops it. The question I would ask you now, the manager took responsibility. They've got to clear the ball, the Hungarians. They're 2v2, they've got to clear the ball, but maybe a bit of a misunderstanding. They didn't, and they got punished for it. Rossi took responsibility after the first game when he said he changed the shape of the team. He chased the game to try to get an equaliser, and they conceded 2 more. I wonder, 65 minutes played, I wonder whether he should commit all the centre-backs forward for a corner. They looked in control. Defensively, they looked in total control. France, they were really shot at the time. We've got a few clips afterwards. They were frustrated. They made bad decisions. They lost balls. So you didn't seem to see any danger whatsoever for their defence. And I just wonder whether he should say one of the centre-backs stays put, because if a centre-back is in their position here, when the ball comes along hoof of Lloris, the centre-back is going to head that ball. He's got 2 central midfielders there, both not the tallest. Probably one thinks the other one goes, and vice versa. All of a sudden, the ball bounces, and 2 seconds later, the ball is in the back of the net. And these are the little things that change games. And we can talk about all the brilliant play, about the defending, heading, goal kicks, throw-ins, corners. They decide games, and they change games. And there was a situation like this, and I would like to ask the manager the question, with hindsight, whether he should have left one centre-back back.
No, but like you said it yourself a moment ago, like for that first 20 minutes up until the goal, Hungary were in it, and they were attacking, and they were looking like some kind of a force going forward. I sat here at half-time and dismissed. I thought they won't even attempt to go forward because it'll just be hang on to what they've got. So, given that that was the way the game was going, wouldn't you not send your centre-halves forward, particularly for a set-piece? Because you know that your best opportunity, you're trying to get any kind of chance created against France, is a set piece if you're hungry.
Yeah, but
you've got to send them forward, surely.
You already scored a goal, and when the long ball is played, yes, of course they're in a position to head it, one of the two.
It's an individual mistake.
Yeah,
I don't think it's a managerial mistake.
Yep, but you've got 2 central midfielders. Commit another central midfielder for on the edge of the box or whatever.
You were a central midfielder, right?
Yeah.
Ball's up in the air, what do? Like, there's no dilemma. Like, there's no... I don't think you could sit and look at the manager and go, what were you at, putting 2 midfielders at the back? Midfielders know how to head a ball.
But they didn't.
But I think it was a decision. Like, it was a choice. I don't think it's lack of technical ability or knowledge of how the game should be played. It was just...
Yeah, but they were 2v2. What I'm saying is, do you take a chance? Because, you know, they commit 5 or 6 players forward. You can get hit on the counter-attack after the corner. You know, don't you leave... Not 2, leave 3 players at the back, and you might say, well, this is negative, and maybe you invite more pressure.
I think they left enough. I don't think it was a numbers issue. It wasn't a numbers issue, because the ball's up in the air, the 2 closest players to the bouncing ball
but that's
were
the point.
defenders.
It's not about the numbers, it's about who's there. You know, when a cross comes in, you want your centre forward to be in a position to put the ball in the back of the net.
Yeah.
At the same time, I want a long ball, a goal kick or a long punt off the goalkeeper. I want the centre-back there, because the centre-back will head the ball. Right.
But I also want the midfielders in my team to have to take the responsibility.
I agree with that.
The most basic decisions, the stuff that you're told from the age of 8. Don't let the ball bounce. Like if I was that striker in that position, what I want them to do is to let it bounce.
Yes.
Just let it bounce, and I'm in the game. Mm-hmm. I can make up the distance, try and muscle him off, do exactly what I think Mbappe did. He can't do any of that. if one of the lads just head it. And it doesn't matter where you head it. Back towards your keeper, back that way or off the pitch. The attack is dead once you do that.
Yeah, but this is hypothetical now. But if a centre
But yours hypothetical going, we'll put the centre half there.
Yeah, because if the centre back is there, is he going to let the ball bounce?
I assume not.
Yeah, and that's exactly what I'm saying. And these are little things. Now I can say, well, it's negative, but at least you've got to ask a question, because obviously when the corner comes in, you don't think about it. Then the long punt comes, they let the ball bounce, and they have a look who's at the back. And do I need 25 minutes to go and winning 1-0 against France?
But I think it sends a match as well. Like we were both sitting here thinking, Hungary are still in this. They're not just defending, they're going for. And then they have a corner kick.
Yeah, but
the most basic, just put a few bodies in the box. And even when the goal went in, I think they had about 6 people back in the box. So I don't think it was a case of not having numbers back. It was just a daft decision by the two players under the ball.
He's got 3 centre-backs. He's got 3 centre-backs. And I know what he's saying. You score the second goal, you probably win the game. Yeah? But, the French are not bad either. And we've seen it against Germany, how good they are. I think the Germans put about 40 crosses in. Yeah. They never got on the end of one. Now, you can say, well, this is... we talk about percentages here. What are the chances we're going to score for a corner? Pretty slim. Yeah? And of course...
But I'd be like, well, what are the chances of scoring from an area other than a set piece? If you're that Hungarian team, your main man's been taken off.
They were winning 1-0. They didn't need to score again.
But if you have a corner kick, like, putting men in the box is fairly basic.
Yeah, I know what he's saying. I'm not saying don't commit players forward, but I've got 3 centre-backs. 25 minutes ago, I think, when did they score? 65?
66 minutes,
66 minutes. 25 minutes ago. I tell you now, not in a million years, you can commit all 3 centre-backs forward. You've got to leave one back to head the ball. If a long ball comes, it's an extra security. They play the back for a reason, because they spot danger.
She's telling us to shut up here.
No, I'm actually thoroughly enjoying it, but somebody else is telling me that you can continue this off air, because we could be here all night.
A defender spots danger different. That's why they play
I agree. Listen, and by the way, for what it's worth, and because I think there's people in Ireland who are literally having the same debate, I think you're right. Rule 101, you got to head the ball. Your rule is a different person in that position does exactly that. And park that for now. Let's take a look at some of the France chances, Richie, because they did have a serious amount of other chances in this game as well.
They did, yeah. They started strongly as we expected they would. This is kind of a cross shot from Pogba. Benzema was at the back stick, ready to pounce if needed. Pogba, again, I don't think he had as much... He certainly didn't have as much influence in this game as he did in the opening one. He slips there just as he's taking the shot, but from a Hungary point of view, you'd be happy if all France are doing is shooting from distance. Dembélé, come on, this is the best he did. He did a lot of other things that were a bit ropey. Really good play here from Griezmann and Mbappe. And here we see Mbappe and Giroud linking up, which was a contentious issue in the build-up to this tournament. But the keeper saved. And then at the very end, at this point, you're thinking, will it drop? Will it be the finish? Will it break Hungary hearts? But no, couldn't get a header on target. Really colossal effort from those Hungary players in the second half. I think we can sit here and obviously poke holes in how France played. Didi was questioning whether they were actually motivated to win it or not, but huge effort, huge amount of praise that Hungary is deserved.
They were incredibly organised defensively, but really positive right around the pitch, this Hungarian team, Richie, weren't they?
They did, and there was elements of this second half which were really positive and pleasing from them, but was surprising a little bit to watch. Here they had I think an empty beer mug to try and navigate, as well as the French defence. But Kleinheisler kind of sets up Salah here. This isn't the best piece of action he wants us to show. He shoots and gets closer to the corner flag, but they did put players forward. They just couldn't create an opening. Varane there fairly comfortable in the end, but they did keep going, and I think encouraged by a home fans of 60,000, you think maybe they're going to go on and get a second, but wasn't to be. If
Hungary, we saw some of their chances there, Didi, that they were, trying to make something of it. For France, even with all the chances that Richie has shown, they looked so frustrated at so many points throughout this afternoon.
Yeah, and especially the first 15-20 minutes of the second half. This is Dembélé, he passes straight. to the opponent. He came off and he was shrugging his shoulders. He gave 3 or 4 balls away. I wouldn't be surprised if there was no injury that Deschamps took him off because he was just not keeping the ball. This is Griezmann. We showed him before the game how good he was against Germany, how hard he works and how effective he is in possession, knocks the ball without getting challenged behind the goal. And this is Mbappé falling over his own legs. Yeah, they were pretty frustrated. There was a time where maybe they lost a bit of belief, thinking, maybe it's not going our way today, and I'm not sure whether we get a goal. Why I said before, towards the end, of course they wanted to win the game, but I don't think they wanted to take a chance, because if you do concede a goal towards the end and lose that game, it puts you in danger of qualifying, because they play Portugal in the last game. If you get beat by them, which is distinctly possible, you end up on 3 points. It may not be enough to go to the second round. So I think in the end, the last 10 minutes, they were very cautious. They thought, if we find a winner, great. But if not, we take the point, which gets us to the next round. And, once you're in the knockout session, it's a completely different tournament. And obviously that's the aim. How you get out of the group, it doesn't matter. Obviously, that's my hope for the Germans. So, we see what they're going to do in a few minutes' time.
If that's the case, what a compliment to Hungary's performance. A French team, as loaded as they are with the quality that they have, are a little bit wary of overly attacking to clinch the win in the second half for fear of conceding another one.
Well, I think we took him lightly. Some of the others, maybe their opponents in the group, took him lightly. I don't think the Germans going to take him lightly in the last game. Because what they've done in the first 2 games, even though they're only on 1 point, they conceded 4, they've probably been one of the most impressive minnows, if we might call him so. They've been absolutely fantastic. They probably should be on 2, maybe even on 4 points. They are on 1. But the way they kept going and the belief they've got in the team, unfortunately, no home crowd in the last game, but they've been absolutely brilliant. Yeah,
they have. Let's take a look at their goal again, Richie, because they had a moment to savour today.
It shocked us all. We didn't see it coming at all. Attila Fiola finds himself in an advanced position on the left-hand side. It wasn't deserved. It didn't come on the back of a load of pressure and relatively poor defending. Can we say there? Nikolic gives the ball back to him. Varane can't tackle. He's caught out of position. Lloris gets nowhere near it, but I don't think he can. It's from such short distance. Very composed finish. Place went wild. Table got kicked over. Great scenes.
Yeah. Well, his first touch is absolutely unbelievable, because obviously first the touch out of the middle to play it into his path, and he's in full flow. He's got Pavard half a yard behind him, and he takes one touch right into his path, about 10 yards, because he knows the centre-backs are not too far away to challenge. And he takes one touch, and then obviously he's already in the box. They can't challenge. Varane can't do anything. And then a composed finish. What a brilliant goal.
Yeah,
it's whether they can do this a third time. Like before kick-off today, we wondered, would they be able to recover from all the emotional energy and the physical energy they put into an ultimately fruitless first game. And they've done so. Like, to do it a third time. Away from home this time, they won't have 60,000 of their own shouting behind them. Kind of writing them off again, haven't they?
Yeah. Do that at your peril.
I know,
I tell you, nobody's going to be writing them off ahead of their last game, that's for sure.